Hello, everyone. It's time for our Tuesday Live. Dr. Sarah here, your brain gal, and I'm so happy to be here again on Tuesday. And I'm really excited about this topic. It's one of my favorite sayings that life doesn't come with a manual, it comes with a mother. And I'm going to say this again. Life doesn't come with a manual, it comes with a mother. And for those of you who've read my book, Raising Brains, you know that one of the first things I say in here is that if I were to give you a rule book with specific rules to use for your kids, they would break them within the first 30 seconds probably that you tried to use them. So when we're talking about life not coming with a manual, but instead coming with a mother, the concept is just that there really isn't one set manual for raising your kids. But that being said, it's funny. Most of the clients that come in say, I want you to give me the magic wands. Right? I want you to give me that tool that is just, I can use it and wave it and everything will be better and everything will work out. And spoiler alert, there is no magic wands, but there are some magic tools that you can use, some things that I call some magic questions and things that I'm going to talk to you about today that you could put in that mom tool belt so that you can really figure out what to do with this little brain in front of you. So if you're new to me, you know that I see all kids like little brains. And there's a reason for that, because when it comes to raising kids, what we're really doing is raising brains. We're really promoting the growth and development of their brains, but also of our brains. And so that's really the focus of today's live, is talking about the fact that life doesn't come with a manual, it comes with a mother. Sometimes we have to do this for ourselves and for our children. And the best way for our kids to learn is really through modeling this kind of thing. So although there aren't magic wands, there are some magic questions. And you've heard me talk about these before if you've been following me for a while, but they're just really important questions to ask yourself, because the three key things to raising good brains is to understand yourself, understand your child, and understand yourself as a parent. And if you noticed, I didn't say do it the right way yourself, do it, have your kid be the best, exact, perfect kid, and you be the perfect parent. Those were not what I said. I said to understand yourself, understand your child, and understand yourself as a parent. Because when you review the neuroscience and you really look at the evidence that we have and the research we have, and you add that to practical parenting, the key to happiness and growth is really about self-awareness. It's about connectedness, and it's about promoting growth mindset approach. And when you have those things, those key components, that is what your brain likes, because your brain loves connectedness. It loves growth and it loves insight. It really thrives on learning. If you've ever really thought about it, you have a desire, an innate desire to learn and to grow. This is why we Google things. This is why we ask questions. This is why what we do on a daily basis is go seek out knowledge in our world. And so when you're promoting that growth mindset in your home, you're really following natural brain patterns. And whenever you do that, you're going to see things become a little bit easier and they're going to become a little bit clearer. You add some insight into that, and you're going to be really set for enhancing your own brain performance and then the performance of your kids. So understanding yourself is really important, and going on that journey and having your children watch that, because they learn a lot from modeling. Understanding your child and really what is going to meet their individual brain needs. And then understanding yourself as a parent. So those three things can come together in the perfect way is what we're looking for. So although there's no magic wand, I promise some magic questions. And these may sound simple, but they can change the dynamic of your relationship with yourself, and they can change the dynamic of your relationship with your kids. So the first is, what does this little brain need to learn? And what can I teach this little brain? And we ask these questions about our kids to ourselves all the time. But I also want you to encourage you to do this for yourself. What does my brain need right now? What do I need to learn, or what do I need to do to fuel that brain? And what can I teach myself right now? Those are key things. When you start to follow that, you're starting to add to that growth mindset approach you want to see in your household, and you're going to see change in yourself when you start to ask your kids these questions. And when you ask them the questions, we're not saying, what does your little brain need to learn? What can I teach this little brain? I've had some questions about this. But what you're going to instead say is, what do you need right now? What can I do to help you? What's happening with you? Maybe even a simple question like, have you eaten recently? Have you fueled your brain? Looking at, are you tired? Did you sleep well? Asking questions will change the dynamic. What does this little brain need to learn? And what can I teach this little brain? So these are two magic questions that help to promote that growth mindset, that happiness, that connection. And so when we talk about how to get to the point of shifting up this dynamic in the house, again, no magic wand. We have these magic questions that we want to use to help propel us forward. And I don't just want to leave you with magic questions for your toolbox, because as I said, life doesn't come with a manual. It comes with a mother. Instead, I want to also help you by saying, okay, so now we've added these two magic questions. We've worked on understanding ourselves, understanding our child, and understanding ourselves as a parent. And if you haven't gone along that journey yet, I would strongly encourage you to do that, because you will see a change in your own happiness, in your own emotional stability. You will see a change in your child's happiness, in their stability. And then also you will go on a process of growth that will promote your brain health and your wellness. And I'm not just talking about mentally either. I'm talking about emotionally, cognitively as well, behaviorally, of course, but physically too. You will see that absolute change. So I want to add to your tool belt some brain rule life rules. So as I study neuroscience, I can see these things that I love to call brain rule life rules, because the things that are true in life are usually true in the brain. So I'll give you the first one. It's not reality, it's perception. This is one of the key concepts, right? Because we really have to understand that your perception is what creates your reality. And this isn't just true, from a philosophical standpoint, but it's very true from the way the neurons in your brain actually connect. Because when we look at the way the connections work in your brain, they can be so modified by adding simple chemicals, like adding medications that change the way you perceive the world. Or they can also be changed with electrical signals, right? So I can put electrodes on your brain and stimulate you in a way that will change the way that you see the world. Maybe you would feel something on your hand, or you would move your arm. I can do that with just using some electrical impulses. So when you really think about that from a very basic brain perspective, it really is true that your perception is what makes your reality. So it isn't reality, it's perception. So when you're talking with yourself, when you're talking with your kids, the way you view things, the way your kids view things is really important. And it is the reality at that particular moment. So we want to meet kids where they are and bring them to where we want them to be. And we want you to meet yourself where you are. We're not asking for big, major changes right off the bat. We're asking you to understand what and why you do things, so that you can start to reduce your own emotional response and act in ways that you want to act, instead of ways that your emotions make you act. And again, if you followed me for a while, you know our emotion center, the amygdala of the brain. I call her Amy G. She's so emotional, that one. And we don't want her driving everything that we're doing. So we have to understand the concept of it being our reality being our perception. So it's not reality, it is perception. So we really want to hone in on that one. And then, of course, everything in moderation. This is true for what you eat, what you drink, what kinds of activities you're involved in. We see this over and over again. It's really true from a brain-based perspective too. Your brain likes new and different things, but it also likes some consistency. So we want to have this balance of doing some consistent but not overdoing them. And we see this throughout things like kids in sports, right? If they do only one sport, they do that all the time. We know that's not good for their bodies. We need them to vary sports. So if you're a sports person, there's your analogy there for you. And then we also know even cognitively, right? You like to learn and grow new things, but you also want some consistency. You want some routines. You want to know what's going to happen, as much as you might want that to vary at times. So we know that that's true as well. Um, and of course, my favorite, better out than in, right? Borrowed from Shrek here. So I'm not talking about bodily functions in this particular case, talking about emotions. But when it comes to Amy G, better have her out than in. And so a lot of what we do for our kids is going to be based on helping them get their emotions out and figure out how to manage those emotions. So 3 different brain rule, life rules. I didn't go through them all, but you know where to find them. If you have questions, you can always message me, or of course you can find them in the book if you have them. So life doesn't come with a manual, it comes with a mother. And so to add to some of your tools today, you've got some brain rule, life rules that you can really, I want you to really think about those and think about how you can incorporate them into your parenting techniques and into understanding your child better. Because although I didn't give you magic wand, I gave you some magic questions. And when you incorporate the concept of asking questions, you're promoting growth in the brain because you're starting to figure out what that brain needs. And as you're asking your child how things are going, you're promoting that connection in their brain to have them start to ask it for themselves. So we know we need to understand ourselves. We need to understand our children, and we need to understand ourselves as parents. And that's what's really going to start creating that self-awareness and self-understanding and that insight that's going to promote the growth in the brains that we want to see, because we're not just raising kids, we're raising brains. So I'm glad you joined me today just for our little quick just a little quick training, a little quick information about raising those brains. And thanks for joining me on our movement of raising brains. If you have a friend that hasn't heard about it, tell them to come on in and watch some of our lives. And I will see you next Tuesday at the same time, same place. Or of course, you can always follow me over on Instagram. I'll be there giving some good tips and hacks. We talked about independence last week and building skills, not just managing behavior, and matching brain patterns with interventions and those kinds of things on Fridays at 2:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So you can always pop in, ask me questions, and I hope you learned something about the science of your kid's brain today.